Welcome to our YouTube video series on employment law for individuals who have been recently fired from their job. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal, and in this particular video, we'll be discussing the aspect of termination without cause and without pay. Now, why is this important? It's important because this is truly a double negative that should not be occurring. Yet, in 2020, it is something that I'm seeing more and more of. And why is that? Well, where you are terminated without cause, you should be receiving termination pay in lieu of notice and severance pay. Or alternatively, if you are terminated with cause, your former employer has the potential right to withhold termination pay and severance pay. The problem is we have the double negative of without cause and without pay. And part of this is due to, in my professional estimation, employers overworking some of the laws, some of the statutes to claim that they are entitled because of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic to avoid payment of both termination pay in lieu of notice and severance pay, or alternatively, provide some fraction of what would be provided to fired and terminated employees in other circumstances. So you've got the unusual circumstance of individuals getting terminated without cause and without pay, and it being illegally inappropriate. Nevertheless, they look at employment standards legislation and look at claims of asserting impossibility, as well as contractual claims of frustration and other aspects within their employment agreement. And in many respects, although they do exist, given the superior employer-employee relationship from the outset and throughout the employment relationship, they seek to overextend this control, this action, this ability over the employees, knowingly or unknowingly realizing that a lot of employees will not challenge what's happening and will accept it almost in a defeatist manner, or in a manner that reflects their recognition that it could potentially be very expensive and costly for them to pursue legal action against their former employer, and even though they have a solid legal basis. And why do I say they have a solid legal basis? Part of it is due to the fact that they are overusing the law, overusing the statutes to try to achieve something that was never intended and is excessive. And even though the courts haven't finalized on this, it's all very likely that the courts will come down on the side of employees with respect to this, at least in part. But there's another aspect, and that is where you have an employer that is making these outlandish, outrageous claims, if we call them, they have a tendency to have done stuff beyond that, to have taken actions beyond that ambit that is prejudicial and harmful from a financial perspective to their employee in the past. Because it's not this kind of good relationship that all of a sudden changed to a very negative relationship where they try to take advantage of the employee. Typically, the employers that undertake this, and this is just a generalization, but it's still a reality, have sought to minimize their costs, their expenditures to those employees in the past. And as such, those employers technically are leaving themselves quite vulnerable to legal action. And the whole thing needs to come together. So when you're terminated without cause and without pay, it's very important that you seek knowledgeable legal advice and guidance so you're making the right determination. And even if there's nothing there, oftentimes it's just the peace of mind and satisfaction that you get from knowing what transpired that the lawyer can provide you for. Otherwise, you might be thinking about this, reading snippets of the news and the internet later on, and saying, why did I pursue this? And why did I leave tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table? Simply because I was too afraid to ask a lawyer, talk to them, and give them a full understanding of what I'm looking at. So that's just a practical piece of advice and a rationale for looking into this some more and simply not accepting the fact that employers, even in these difficult times, can get away with both termination without cause and without pay, which is totally inappropriate in our professional estimations. Thank you.